Okay, welcome to this webinar this afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to attend and to watch this if you're watching after the actual webinar itself. My name is Mark McCrory and I am the course director for the MBA Programmes at Ulster University. And the seminar today, I'm going to be looking at two of our programs, the Executive MBA and the MBA. Just before I start to discuss the MBA in a little bit more detail, I have a few slides here focusing on the university more widely. So the university has over 200,000 alumni. There's many different benefits of studying at Ulster University. Some of them are on this slide here. Career advancement, the opportunity to take part in a supported study environment, the qualifications and the links with industry bodies. There's lots of different research out there on the quantifiable benefits of postgraduate studies. So these are just some statistics that the marketing department here at Ulster have put together based on research that's been done into higher education and the value of postgraduate qualifications. So you can come back and pause this if you wish. Ulster University offers a number of different benefits. There's flexible modes of study, full-time, part-time, distance learning, and there's different study levels as well, short courses, postgraduate certificates and diplomas, and then obviously master level qualifications. So in a minute I'll start to focus more specifically into the MBA, the flexible modes with which you can study the MBA, and also the level of the MBA, which is Masters. Across Ulster University, there's a broad range of industry networks and professional accreditations, and again I'll speak to that in a bit more detail in relation to the MBA programmes in just 1 minute. If you are interested after the webinar today or for any programmes that are being offered at Ulster, you can apply online at ulster.ac.uk. There's no official closing date, as it says in this slide, but the MBA programmes, I would encourage you to apply by late August. Usually the end of August is the point at which we stop taking applications. Course places are limited, and I'll discuss that in relation to the MBA in a minute or two. You can apply for multiple courses, but you do need to make separate applications. So if you have any doubts or any problems, the admissions team are very helpful and will support you through that process. There is a number of things just to think about in terms of fees and finance. Courses at postgraduate level at Ulster University, they start from £6,270 for the 21-22 academic year. The MBA programmes are more expensive than that. So if you're an NI, GB or EU student, the Executive MBA for the 2021-22 academic year is £13,130, and the MBA programme is £10,410. There's flexible payment options available. There's a 10% alumni discount or a 5% discount for paying up front, although you can't use those together, it has to be one or the other. And there is loans of up to £5,500 available, and there's more information on that within our website. Okay, so that's just some general information about applying for postgraduate study at university. Focusing now for the rest of the webinar specifically on the MBA. So if you are attending now or you're watching this, the recording of this, obviously you're interested in the Masters in Business Administration. And there's just a couple of things that I would highlight about an MBA. First is it's internationally recognised. There's lots of different Masters and MSc programmes out there, but an MBA is known worldwide and it has an international recognition to it. You can go anywhere in the world and an MBA is understood when someone's reviewing your CV. Second thing I would say about an MBA is it's a general management course. So the idea behind an MBA is that you'll get a grounding and a foundation in each of the different areas within business and management. You'll be able to operate in different functions and move between functions and to lead businesses accordingly. And the third thing I would say about an MBA is it's both about developing business and management knowledge and skills. There's also a strong personal development aspect, particularly around leadership. So those would be some of the key features of an MBA. At Ulster University, we offer a number of MBA programs. I'm going to focus today specifically on the Executive MBA and the MBA. So both lead to the MBA qualification. The Executive MBA is offered part-time or full-time, and it starts in September every year. The Executive MBA, we normally recruit 25 students onto that program. They're experienced managers and professionals, so typically they'll have between 10 to 15 years work experience on the program. The criteria for the program for the Executive MBA is a second-class honours degree and 3 years relevant postgraduate experience, and we define relevant as middle to senior management or a senior professional role. The Executive MBA tends to be more predominantly completed part-time, and it tends to be mainly completed by home students. The MBA is offered full-time, and it starts in September, but it also has a start in January. And the MBA is targeted towards recent graduates or those who are early in their careers. So if you're looking at the entry criteria for the MBA, it's a second-class honours degree and 2 years relevant experience, but that experience doesn't have to be postgraduate. It can be paid, it can be voluntary, it can be placement year, it can be part-time work. We're very open to looking at experience for the MBA of all types. So those are the two programs, the Executive MBA, which is targeted to people established in their careers, MBA, which is targeting towards people who are more recent graduates. And I'm going to talk about both programs today, perhaps with a little bit more focus towards the MBA. The MBA at Ulster University has been running for over 40 years, and we have over 3,000 MBA graduates who are occupying senior positions both locally and globally. And these are just some examples here in Northern Ireland of some of our alumni. It's very hard to go into any organisation in Northern Ireland and not come across someone who studied their MBA with Ulster University. In terms of content, what will you study? If I look first of all at the MBA, and then in the next slide I'll look at the Executive MBA, but what I would say first of all is in order for us to be able to call this program an MBA, there's a core content that has to be covered. So you'll see that there's a lot of overlap in terms of the MBA and the Executive MBA content. How the courses differ tends to be more in relation to how we deliver them and how we assess them. So focusing first of all on the MBA program. The MBA, the modules you'll study are on this slide. We'll look at the 4 key functions of any business, which is marketing, accounting and finance, managing people, and operations management. We then start to look at modules like leadership and change and strategy that go across the organisation, and then we look as well at evolving areas like digital transformation, innovation and entrepreneurship. And then the course completes with you undertaking a business project. So that's the MBA program. The Executive MBA, as you can see, the modules by the titles are very similar. The key difference, which I'll talk about later, is with the Executive MBA, you'll study an international competitiveness module. And instead of doing a business project, you'll do something slightly different, which is called a management project. And again, I'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a couple of slides. So content-wise, the MBA and the Executive MBA are very similar, and all MBA programs that you look at any institution should be covering these core areas. In terms of delivery, we operate at postgraduate level on a 3-semester basis, so it's a 12-month academic calendar. Semester 1, you can see on the left of this slide, is the autumn semester, and that runs from the end of September through to December for 12 weeks. And we teach weekly on semester 1. Semester 2 is the spring semester, and that runs from the end of January into May. It runs for 14 weeks, but 12 teaching weeks and 2 weeks in the middle for Easter. And again, that's taught weekly, so each module you study will be taught each week. Semester 3, which is our summer semester, which we're just in right now, is May through to September. And what we do slightly differently there is with both the MBA and the Executive MBA, we move away from weekly teaching and we deliver the modules here through block teaching. So instead of students coming in for 3 hours per week per module, what we do is we teach in blocks. So it's a 3-day block, 9 to 5, and we tend to schedule those for the last week of May, the first couple of weeks in June, and then students can work on their assessment over the summer period independently. And that allows people to schedule in holidays, breaks, and the like. So if I look at the MBA full-time, the first row there, if you're studying the MBA full-time and you start in September, you will study 4 modules in your autumn semester. You'll come in, hopefully our timetable will be confirmed very soon, but it should be 2 days per week for your 12 weeks. So you'll be studying 2 modules in your first day and 2 modules in your second day across the 12 weeks. Semester 2 then, you'll again study another 4 modules in the MBA. Again, hopefully when our timetable is confirmed, that will be 2 days per week. And then in the summer semester, you have 2 taught modules plus your business project. So that's the MBA and the structure. The Executive MBA full-time, if you were to study that program, in the autumn semester, you would study 3 modules in your first semester, and you would start to think about your management project. And that will be scheduled on a Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon and evening. So 1:15 to 8:15 on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. Your 3 modules in the management project will be spread across that. The spring semester, you again study 4 modules on a Tuesday and a Wednesday afternoon and evening. And then in the summer, you'll study 3 top modules plus your management project will be completed at that point. You'll be working on your management project across the full 12 months. If you were to study the Executive MBA part-time, we take what I just discussed, but we split it over 2 years. So Executive MBA part-time year 1, the final column here, you would study 2 modules in your autumn semester. That would be a Tuesday afternoon and evening. 2 modules in your spring semester, Tuesday afternoon and evening. And then 2 modules in year 1 in the summer semester, block taught. Then in year 2, it's exactly the same, except you attend on a Wednesday rather than Tuesday in the autumn and spring semesters. And in your summer semester, you do 1 taught module and complete your management project. So that's a structure of the course. So what would the experience of studying the Ulster University MBA programme be like? Well, the first thing to say is we try to make sure that the MBA and the Executive MBA are very practical and applied courses. So one way that we do that in both programs, we do it more so on the Executive MBA, but we certainly do it as well on the MBA, is through bringing in guest speakers from industry. So these are just some examples of some of the guest speakers that we had in one semester of the academic year. So we'll bring in guest speakers from industry. They'll be talking about their experience and how some of the topics and the content that's been shared with the lecturers, by the lecturers, relates to their real world experience and what's happening on the ground for them. So that's one way that we try to make sure the programs are practical and applied. Something that we do more on the MBA than the Executive MBA. So with the MBA, we try to take students out of the classroom, out of the lecture theatre, and we try to get out and have some organisational visits. So this is one example here. These are MBA students. They're visiting the Ignite Accelerator at the Ormo Bass, and they're being delivered a session on design thinking by the entrepreneur in residence there. and also had an opportunity to have a conversation with some of the founders of different organisations down there at the Ormo Base. This is another example of the MBA students going out into industry. Here they're visiting Hillsborough Castle as part of their Leadership and Change module. And this is an opportunity for them to get out and hear about the leadership and change process that happened there, get to speak to some of the senior leaders and visit the organisation. So we tend to do a lot of industrial visits and try to get students out into different locations when they're studying on the MBA. Assessment's obviously something that people are interested in when they're considering the type of programme that they're looking to undertake. One thing, going back to the practical and applied nature of the MBA programmes, is that our assessment is 100% coursework. We have no exams across the programme. In both programmes, how we try to make sure that they're practical and applied is through, in some of the modules, we'll be having live case studies. So live case studies is where a senior leader from an organisation comes into the module. They present a problem that they're facing related to the topic of that module, and then the students working in small teams work on that as they go across the semester to try to come up with a solution, and then they usually present that back either through a presentation or a report. So there's live case studies in both the MBA and the Executive MBA. How the assessment differs beyond that is a lot of the assessment on the Executive MBA is going to be challenging students to think about the module topics and content and focus that applied to their own organisations. With the MBA, because the student group tends to be at an earlier stage of their career, most of them tend to be studying, well, they're all studying full-time, most of them are not working. We take a case study based approach rather than asking students to focus on their own organisations. So very practical, very applied approach to assessment. It's not about simply learning and being able to memorise. It's about how can you practically use the material that we're covering. There's a few differences about the Executive MBA in comparison to the MBA, reflecting both the different price point, but also the different experience that is required of the Executive MBA. So the first is that we have a personal development residential on the Executive MBA. We weren't able to do that this past year due to restrictions with COVID, and we would hope that we'll be able to do that in the next academic year with the next intake. Another difference is the Executive MBA has dual accreditation with the Chartered Management Institute. We're an HE partner with the Chartered Management Institute, who are a professional body for leadership and management in the UK and Ireland. Students who are studying the Executive MBA, if they wish to, they can opt for studying as well their Level 7 diploma with the CMI, and they can use that diploma then to go down the exemption route to become a chartered manager. And then the third key difference I would probably highlight at this point is within the Executive MBA, we have an international competitiveness module, and that module is linked with the Harvard Business School. So the lecturers have gone out to Harvard, they've been trained through the Institute for Strategy and Competitiveness to deliver this module, and they bring that learning back into the Executive MBA. In terms of why do people study the MBA programme, I'll start with the Executive MBA and then we'll look at some recent graduates from the MBA. So the Executive MBA, there's really three reasons which I've tried to reflect in the next couple of slides. The first is people tend to want to do an MBA because they want to progress within either their own organisation or within their own sector. So this is a quote here from one of our Executive MBA graduates, Phil Woolsey. Philip's the Chief Executive Officer of Griner Packaging, and here he talks about how the Executive MBA equipped him to move from a director to a Chief Executive Officer position, and how that allowed him to develop a new strategy in that role. Second reason people tend to come on an Executive MBA is they've reached a point in their career and they're looking to perhaps pivot and change their path. So this is Michael Holland. Michael was in prosthetics and orthotics, and he used the MBA to move out of that senior professional role and become a management consultant with PricewaterhouseCoopers. And what he's now doing is he's since moved on from the PwC, and he's an executive director of the T-Bow Cure Hospital. And in this quote here, he talks about how the MBA allowed him to make that transition and how it allowed him to take the skills that he had developed through his career in health and show how they were transferable alongside the knowledge and skills around business and management that he had gained from the MBA program. And then the third reason people often come on the executive MBA is that they have an idea or they're a small business owner who are looking to grow their business. This is an example here of one of our executive MBA graduates, Alan Graham. Alan worked for Chain Reaction Cycles, and he then founded and is now product director for his own business, Scribe Cycling. And in this quote, he's talking about how, going back to the definition of an MBA, it's a general management qualification. And what that means is that you're skilled in all the different areas of a business and you're able to move between those areas, which is useful if you're at a senior level or director level within a large corporate organization, or you're building your own business from scratch. In terms of the MBA program then, the MBA has been running for 3 years now. Traditionally, we've always had executive MBA. We've had a lot of interest from people who are earlier in their careers, and that's why we started the MBA program. And these are some examples of graduates just over the last 2 years. So with Jordan Willis, who's the Northern Ireland Territory Manager for Uber Eats, Jenny, who's Shift Manager at Amazon, Biban Ross, who's an engineer with Bristol Myers Squibb, Connor, business analyst with EY, Jonathan, who we'll hear from in a second, who's country manager from BizBike, and Stephen, who's partner manager with Airplus Ltd. So our graduates are going on and they're really getting some excellent positions as they're coming out of the course. What I would say is the students we have are very fortunate, they're very motivated, they're very committed. All the people on this slide and the previous slides, they would be successful in whatever they did, but hopefully the MBA has helped create that process for them and give them perhaps further opportunities. But as I say, we're very happy with the graduates, the students that we have here in our graduates. So you've heard a lot from me talking about the program. What I'm going to do now is we have a graduate, Jonathan Quigley, who's country manager from BizBike. Jonathan graduated with an MBA with distinction in the 2019-20 academic year. Jonathan's very kindly agreed to join me for this webinar to tell you a little bit about his experience of studying the course. So if Jonathan, if you can enable your mic.
How are you, Mark?
That's all right, no problem. Thanks for joining us, Jonathan, today. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all, Mark.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing these slides and I'll enable my video as well. Okay, so Jonathan, thanks again for joining us. What I thought we'd start off with is, could you just briefly tell us about your role as country manager with BizBike?
Yes, so essentially my role as country manager for BizBike, I oversee the sales, marketing, operations and customer service on a day-to-day basis. BizBike as a company, we're an e-bike wholesaler, and essentially we design and manufacture our own e-bikes. Now BizBike as a whole, the company is actually a Belgian company. They were founded in 2013. And they've decided as of 2021 to expand into the Irish market. We've sold over 50,000 bikes since we were founded in 2013, and we now operate in Ireland, the Netherlands, and the original company is in Belgium.
Great. So you were from business or from Belfast, Hollywood, but you've moved now to Dublin.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm based in Dublin now at the moment, so I'm.
Great. So if we go back, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, what motivated you to study the MBA with Ulster University?
It actually began in 2018. I had spent a year abroad in Australia, and I just finished my undergrad in Edinburgh, and I had some time just to reflect on what I wanted and what my future career goals were. And I had a conversation with a family member who is CEO of Village Cinemas in Australia, and I spoke to him about my goals and what I wanted to achieve. And coming from a non-business undergrad course, essentially he advised me to undertake the MBA when I returned home, because it would give me that general understanding of all aspects of business. There's obviously multiple disciplines within the MBA course at Ulster University, and he advised me that the MBA was the correct option for someone like me who had no experience in business from an academic standpoint.
And that's a very key point. I should have had that in my presentation as well. Oftentimes I get emails from people asking that their undergraduate was in chemistry or theology or psychology, and could they do an MBA? And absolutely. In fact, we encourage people to come from different disciplines and different backgrounds. Not that you can't do an MBA if you've got a business studies degree, but certainly there's nothing to hold people back from other disciplines joining the course, and we would encourage that's one of the purposes of the course. Okay, so that's why you decided to do the MBA. What about Ulster University? Was there any reason you chose us? Was it just convenience? Or
I wouldn't necessarily say it was convenience. I think what made me want to study in Ulster University was I actually applied to study at Ulster University for undergrad. I didn't actually get in. I missed out by 1 grade in my A-levels, and I'd been to multiple open days in 2013, and I really liked the atmosphere on the campus. And I found that when I returned in 2019, nothing had changed in terms of atmosphere. The staff were very welcoming. I noticed that I could see there was obviously students with plenty of friends about, and I think that was what really drove my decision to choose Ulster for the MBA.
Great, thank you. So you had a kind of a unique experience on the course, because semester 1 we were on campus. Most of the semester we were on campus, and then obviously the first lockdown happened with COVID, so we had to move to remote teaching at that point. So your year and the year after you that are studying right now have had quite a unique experience of studying in higher education, but focusing particularly on semester 1 and semester 2, because we're hoping we'll be back face to face come this September. What was your experience like studying the MBA with us?
I loved semester 1 and 2 just being on campus. Classes were on Tuesday and Wednesdays, and what I really liked was I loved being able to ask lecturers questions, actually being in the classroom environment, compared to semester 3, which was more online. You didn't get the chance to interact with your lecturers as much. I actually struggled in semester 3 compared to the first 2 semesters, just because obviously we were online learning. But semester 1 and 2 was really good, just going in, speaking to your classmates, having the chance to talk about obviously your assignments and module content in person. So yeah, I think everyone who do go on to take the MBA will enjoy being back in the classroom for sure. Yeah,
I think we're all looking forward to getting back. Was there any particular module or any particular lecture that stood out for you?
Yes, definitely. Marketing with Paul Dixon stood out for me, and I think it was more to do with his conversational style approach to teaching and the module content. He made the learning environment very relaxed, which took the stress off the course. I had no experience in marketing before, and I think had it not been for Paul's sort of learning style and teaching style, I don't think I would have got a first in his module.
And marketing's obviously a big part of your role as country manager at BizBike.
Correct.
Is there other other aspects that you're able to use the MBA in your current role?
Yes, definitely. I oversee operations on a day-to-day basis as well, so the operations management module came in quite handy. But I think for me, someone who's overseeing sort of sales, marketing, operations, I think having the ability to juggle different disciplines was key for me from the MBA. Had I not been studying obviously multiple different disciplines, which the MBA offers, I think I probably would be struggling in my role at the moment.
And then just one final question.
Yeah.
Anybody that's listening to this webinar, if they come to do an MBA, whether it be with us here at Ulster or another institution, any advice that you would give them?
Yeah, so I actually thought about this, and I think the main piece of advice that I would give someone starting the MBA would be to speak to your classmates from the induction day, get to know everyone in your class, take the time and make the effort to speak to your classmates. I had experience of obviously meeting a few guys in my class, and I do believe that you learn just as much from your classmates as you do from your lectures and the whole experience. And I would also advise you to set yourself big goals. Don't be afraid of setting yourself the target of a 2-1 or a first, and just do everything you can to obviously achieve those goals.
That's great. Well, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for giving up some time this afternoon, and really do appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Mark.
I'm just going to bring back up the slides of my camera. Okay, so just a couple of slides to finish off. Belfast campus is obviously approaching completion, changing the skyline in Belfast. The new Belfast campus is on schedule to be opening its doors in September 21. The plan is that all courses that are transferring have stated so on this prospectus. So the MBA, the Executive MBA, both will be transferring to the Belfast campus. However, in the first semester, the autumn semester, some of the teaching may be staying, the vast majority of the teaching, in fact, may be staying in Georgetown. Now, we don't know as yet whether the MBA and the Executive MBA will be taught in Georgetown or Belfast in semester 1. We'll have that confirmed over the coming weeks, I'm sure. From the beginning of semester 2, all teaching will then be delivered in the Belfast campus. Timetabling will be confirmed very soon. I've given some provisional timetabling in this presentation. For the Executive MBA, I would say 95% that it's going to be a Tuesday afternoon and evening for year 1, Wednesday afternoon and evening for year 2, and then both days for the full-time students on the Executive MBA. And we'll hopefully have confirmation of the MBA timetable very soon as well. COVID-19, the university is making their preparations to welcome new students for this academic year. The university is committed to do so safely and in line with the government guidance, and you can keep up to date as that situation evolves over the summer on the website here. So if you have any questions about the MBA, if you want to have a talk about is it right for you, would it be the MBA or the Executive MBA, please feel free to contact me. Under normal times, I would invite you into the campus for a coffee. I can't do that this particular summer due to the restrictions, but I'd be more than happy to schedule a call with you and have a conversation about the course. So if there's anything that you want to ask, you may have some time for questions now, but if not, if you're watching the recording of this, please feel free to reach out and connect with me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. Okay,